getting paid. How do you negotiate price? How do you make sure that you can get paid a lot? How come I'm able to close a $50,000 website and you can barely close a $500 website? Why is that the case? Well, it's about a few things, but one of the things it's about is price negotiation, and that's what I want to talk about on today's episode. First, let's start with price negotiation. There's a ton of resources out there about who should say the first number, who should do whatever, yada, yada, yada. I don't follow any of that. When you give the customer the price, the final price on that final proposal, there shouldn't be a negotiation. They should sign the paper and lock it in immediately. By the time you get to the pricing part of the sales process, they already trust you. You know this client is BANT qualified, right? They have the budget, the authority, the need, and they're ready to make a decision right now. So there's no negotiation needed. You'll show your estimate with the hours required and your hourly rate. And then if they do want to negotiate, they'll push back on those things. The customer might say, do you really think it'll take 3,000 hours for this project? And you'll say, yes, that's the estimate based on the dozens of projects we've completed in the past. Customer might say, are you sure this role is worth $150 an hour? And you'll say, yes, $150 is the standard rate for a developer with that level of experience. The best way to negotiate is not to negotiate. Now, how do you get the clients to respect your prices before you get to this point in the process? I'm going to tell you right now, but first, make sure you subscribe down below and like this video. This is going to be a big secret that's going to change your life and your business. So if you want to pay me back, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're liked. Share this video with a friend if you will. Now, here's a secret that I use on call number 1 in order to budget check them. As we go through call number 1 of our sales process, we are looking for BANT. Budget, do they have the money to pay? Authority, are they able to make a payment? Need, do they have a need for this? And timing, are they ready to go right now? One of the easiest ways to ask for budget on this first call is to say something like, on that call we'll say, typically web design projects go for around $75,000 to $125,000, okay? And if they say yes, now you have a range, $75,000 to $125,000. As long as something within that range is on the final proposal, you'll be good to go. And I typically do this on call number 1 as early in the process as possible. The sooner you can talk pricing, the sooner you can qualify or disqualify your customers. I can't tell you the number of times that I've been on calls with freelancers, I've been on calls with other agency owners, and they haven't given their price on the phone. And now all of a sudden, me as a customer, I'm thinking, all right, does this guy charge $500 a month or $5,000? Is this going to be a $50,000 project? Now all of a sudden, I'm looking at other salespeople, I'm looking at other agencies, and we're hiring somebody else. On the other side of it, a freelancer might be like, yeah, we can get going for $2,000. And I will say, all right, let's do it. No need for a contract, no need for a proposal. In fact, they could get a close right on call number 1 for $2,000 down. And we have hired on call number 1 and paid them $2,000 to $3,000 down because they followed this process. Actually, the highest we've ever paid on a single sales call was for YouTube ads consulting. We paid $9,000 down on call number 1, 15-minute call. So it is possible to do this without a contract, without anything. But as you start selling to more legitimate companies, to actual corporations, they will have contract points that they want to negotiate. The longer your contract is, the more points they're going to have. And this video wouldn't be complete without contract negotiation, so let's talk about that. When dealing with large corporations, they'll want to redline parts of the contract. Redline means they will cross pieces of the contract out with a red marker, but it's probably on the computer, etc. But that's just what it's called. It's called redlining, and they'll typically want to do that. Typically, this phase is handled by the legal team if you're dealing with large corporations, or if you're a junior salesperson, this will be handled by the founder or the senior partners. Within our agency, X27, of course, I'm a founder, I am a senior partner, so we have to deal with this contract negotiation often. And it's typically little things that people want to change. They want to change things like, we say we want to do business in Wyoming if there's a contract dispute, and they'll want to do the contract dispute in Boston. Or they'll want to change the way the deliverables in the contract are written to better suit what their lawyers think should be in the contract. It's always things like that. Typically, at this point, you're not talking about price. You might talk about things that relate to how much you get paid though, so stick around because I'm going to talk about those in a second. So here are some things to keep in mind. You want to understand what is negotiable and what is not. Maybe you really need the legal proceedings to happen in Wyoming because you have a legal team there, and so you really want to push back when they say they want to do it in Boston or Chicago instead. Maybe not. Same side, maybe not. Maybe you really want to hold to the exact wording of your guarantee in the contract because there's a reason why it's written that way. And if they change the wording, they change the contract. So just know what's negotiable and what's not negotiable. Also, negotiating 101, don't give without getting something in return. So if they want to change something about the contract, make sure that you get something in return. If they want to change where the litigation happens in case of a dispute, maybe you change the terms of the contract. If they want to change the location of a dispute, maybe you ask to change the length of a contract. Say something like, well, that potentially opens us up to more legal risk, so I'd love if we could extend this contract for an extra 6 months. And at the end of the day, it's about being fair. Hardline negotiation is not about taking. It's about finding a win-win, an opportunity for both sides to make money and to do a great project together. Now, let's jump into the 3 most negotiated terms. The first one is refund policies. Clients are going to ask you about your refund policy, about cancellation, and they'll have questions around that. So know what to hold and what to get rid of when it comes to refund policy. Typically, rule of thumb is if you have a lot of costs in terms of fulfilling the deal, then you'll typically not want to do refunds. You can instead say you'll work for free or you'll end the contract early with a cancellation fee rather than refunding and being out a lot of money. If there is very little cost to what you do, then you can add a refund policy. The next most negotiated thing is contract lengths and renewals. Typically in our contract, we'll write them as annual with automatic renewal. Some clients don't want that. They want quarterly contracts, or some clients even ask for monthly contracts, which for us, I don't really like signing those for X27 because you got to trust us enough to give us 3 months, 6 months. We need that long-term viewpoint in order to sell effectively, in order to build a marketing strategy that actually works. You can't expect results in month 1, but if they happen, it's great. And the last negotiated term is payment terms and deliverables. Typically, we'll ask for 40% upfront of the contract value, and then 20%, 20%, 20% as time goes on. People might push back on that. Either they want to pay less upfront, or they want to do payment based on deliverables instead of payment based on timeframes. Now, I don't like payment based on deliverables because projects can drag out forever. Let's say you're selling a web design project and the payment is due when they approve the final website. Now, that might take them 7 months. But if the payment instead is due on XYZ date or when you approve the website, whichever comes first, now all of a sudden they have to pay that final payment whether or not the website is approved or not, which will speed up the projects and make sure that you can fit more projects in and thus make more money. Because if we're selling hours, you want to make sure those hours are stacked with client work and not stacked with old projects. If you want more detail about price and contract negotiation, then check out our course, Salesman X. You can grab that at salesmanx.com. Thanks for watching. Be sure to smash that like button to encourage this type of content on YouTube. I'll talk to you soon. Watch all the past videos if you want more free sales training. There's a ton of stuff here on YouTube, and I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Alex Berman.